Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Mike Sparks and
Jared Moore.
with the Overtime Podcast with Sparksy and Jared on this Thursday evening, the last day of April. Can you believe it, Jared? We're already going to hit May tomorrow, and it certainly doesn't feel like that weather-wise, does it?
No, it's nice and rainy today. I'm ready for spring as well as everybody else, but looks like we still got a little bit of time, but maybe this weekend will be nice, so we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. We hope so. Maybe even 75 on Sunday, but this isn't a weather show. This is a sports podcast, and I'm so pleased to welcome for our second episode an outstanding high school basketball player from Willard High School. Cooper Parrott is with us, and Cooper, thanks for joining us tonight. Certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, and great year. Great, really 2 years when you look at your junior year and your senior year at Willard. 43-7 combined record. I'm sure that means a lot to you, and you just have one other senior that you graduated with, Terry Baldridge, but had to mean a lot to you guys to have such a great, outstanding last 2 years of high school basketball. Talk about that a little bit.
It definitely was. Terry and I we've been best friends since, second or third grade times. So being able to play with him all through the years, and then just me and him senior year kind of, running the team. Me and him are the two vocal leaders. It really meant a lot to me, just playing with those guys. Of course, the winning makes everything fun, but I think it's, what we did to win, which made it such a spectacular year.
I guess looking past this, in what ways during this coronavirus you have obviously the stay-at-home order, you're not in school. What are some ways you stay in contact with those guys right now?
Well, I still see Terry pretty much every day. We hang out almost every day, I'd say, see each other pretty often. I talk to Miles a little bit on the phone. We all have Snapchat. We send each other stuff. We all like to play Xbox together. There's just kind of a couple ways to stay in touch. It's been hard, though. We can't even go play basketball. Miles has a half court in his backyard, and that's all we like to go do is go play pickup basketball, and we can't even do that. So it's hard to find stuff to do right now.
I guess feeding off that, Mike, I'm going to steal your question here for a second.
Yeah.
Just feeding off that, you're going to Marietta next year, and in some ways you have to prepare for that as well while you're in this staying at home. What ways are you preparing to get ready for that? Because, you still have to do certain things to get ready for that. And I guess what ways are you working on your game right now?
Right. Well, ever since I was little, my main workout partner has been my grandpa. He's drilled the fundamentals and the skill aspect of the game into me. And Marietta coaches kind of sent out a little spring worksheet plan. And I've been working with that and kind of the stuff my grandpa likes me to do. So that's really been the two things I've been focusing on. I go over there a couple times a week, try to get some stuff in on my own.
Good. So, you take a look at your senior year, likely the most important year in any student is their senior year. That's when you make the most memories. And if we go all the way back to August in football season, and certainly not the record that you had hoped the Crimson Flashes to have. You finished the season at 1-9, but pretty successful year for you as a quarterback. Threw for a ton of yards the last couple of years. And talk just briefly about kind of the memories that you're going to take with you about the football season, even though the record wasn't where it was. Talk about that brotherhood and the memories you're going to take with you from that.
Right. I think, I'm the biggest basketball fan there is, but the greatest team sport in the world is football. It's not even close. One guy messes up on a play on either side of the ball, and everyone, watching the game can easily see who made the mistake. It takes 11 guys, doing their job. And I think that's kind of the most fun part of football is just kind of the brotherhood. You spend so much time together between, July, camps in the summer where you're spending 3 to 4 hours in the sun to, you go to August, you got 2 days, you're spending 6-7 hours there. You pretty much turn into a family. Can't really get sick of those guys. You're going to be around them a lot. So you kind of just have a good time, hang out in the locker room, bus rides, going to miss all that stuff. So much fun.
Now, being a quarterback for the football team, what ways do you convert that over to your basketball skills?
I think, quarterback and point guard go hand in hand. You got to keep everyone on the same page. You got to be vocal. And in both sports, I'm very vocal, I feel, especially basketball. My main job was to keep everyone on the same page, whether we were doing something defensively or offensively. That was always my job. And, I really embraced it. I like to have that role. I like having that leadership role. I like having that weight on my shoulders. But overall, quarterback and point guard, they go hand in hand. It's all about really, keeping the team on the same page and keeping everyone together, because that's ultimately what wins you games.
So transitioning after football season right into the gym, you're 21-3 overall, 8-2 in the Sandusky Bay Conference Bay Division, tied for the league championship with Oak Harbor. I know you split with them, and that other loss was that controversial loss up in Castalia against Marietta. Did he get the shot off, or did he not get it off?
I don't know about. I know I took a charge. I know they called a block.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's right. It was you that, and that's a tough position for officials to be in. Those that don't know, Cooper took a charge/block. There was a no call, and then whether the shot was off.
Actually, it was called an and one. That's the only thing I was upset about.
Oh, okay.
I felt if the ref had swallowed his whistle, I completely understand it because it's late in the game. You're supposed to do that. But he called a block and one, and I don't know. I mean, it hurts to lose any game, but especially when you lose a game like that to a team that, has had your number the past, couple of years. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah, for sure. But then you end up going to, you win your sectional final, took a bye the first round, then go to Norwalk for your district semifinal, face a really talented Colonel Crawford team that moved up from Division IV to Division III this year, and you fell to them, and your season and career came to an end with a 59-55 loss. I remember listening to that game on the radio, a great atmosphere, but just not enough to get by the Eagles. Talk a little bit about that game.
Yeah, we were kind of a team where we would never really play an entire bad game. We could play bad quarters, we could have bad halves, but it was very rare, if ever, where we play a bad game. And that Colonel Crawford game, that first half, just offensively, we were sluggish, not moving the ball. Defensively, we were letting guys on their team that shouldn't beat us. I remember Gavin Fickner hit 4 threes in that first half. That was hard. Hard to get over that. You got to get your hand out on shooters like that when they get on a roll, but kind of got to it a little late. We tried to make a push in the second half. There was never a question with the effort. All of us were playing maximum effort. I don't think you can ever question that about us, which is a good thing. But we just fell short. I think, like Michael Jordan said, we didn't lose that game. We just ran out of time.
Good one.
Yeah, and looking at that, I think I had the call for the next game for Colonel Crawford, and I think you guys would have been easily district champions. I know that might sting a little bit for you guys, but watching that Colonel Crawford game in their district championship, you guys would have had a chance to move on to Bowling Green, and I'm sure that stings a little bit, but going back on that, it's still a great season for Willard. And then you look at that, as a junior and a senior, you were 43-7. That's pretty remarkable to come by. Just talk about those 2 years here, your junior and senior years.
It was definitely a fun time, a fun 2 years. It was great to see the community, grow every game. If you look from my junior year, kind of when we were playing some home games, you'd look and the balcony upstairs wouldn't even be used. Into my senior year, there were pretty much a packed gym almost every game. If it was a big game, it was a packed gym for sure.
We're visiting with All-Ohioan basketball player, soon-to-be graduate from Willard High School, Cooper Parrott. And Cooper, we continue on with your senior year. 500 points scored in your senior year. You averaged just about 21 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, almost 4 assists a game, and 2 steals a game, and had a season-high 44 against Edison right after Christmas on the 27th. Was that up there, or was that at your place?
That was home.
Oh, it was nice to get that at home then. And ended up having 64 three-point field goals this past year, and ended up surpassing the 1,000-point mark, and actually surpassed 1,500 by the time it was all over. Obviously, you were looked to be a scorer, Terry, the big guy underneath, and then you had your support people around you. But I'm sure Coach Bedingfield and the rest of coaching staff really relied on you a lot to do the scoring. But you did a lot of the other stuff as well. Talk about that.
Yeah, every year Coach B sits all of us down, makes us know our role. Coach B's a big believer in everybody's got to know their role to succeed. You got to be a star in your role. You don't have to be a star, but if you're a star in your role, then that's all that really matters. And he emphasizes that. And I know that I have to be a scorer. Terry knows he has to be a scorer. And that doesn't mean, shoot whatever shot you want. But when the team needs a basket or the offense is struggling, you have to be that guy to kind of pick up the slack, look for a bucket if the team's struggling. And me and Terry also, we got a lot of different defenses thrown at us. I mean, we saw triangle and twos, we saw box and ones, we saw zones where they'd have two guys in the paint that weren't guarding me and Skeeter, waiting for us, to drive. So the biggest thing for us was, to rely on the teammates, trust your teammates. They're going to make the plays for you if you have faith in them. When you see a lot of attention like that, you got to look for your teammates. And I think that's what we did. And I think that's kind of why teams, struggled to beat us is because, if you try to take me and Terry away, we're going to find the other guys. And I think those other guys are going to beat you too.
So you take away like your past couple seasons here. What's one of the biggest things that you regret from these past 2 years?
Ooh, biggest regret. I would say my biggest regret would be junior year going to BG. I didn't feel it before the game, but about halftime, most definitely. There was, I wouldn't say question of effort, but it was just like you could feel it in the air that we were almost happy to be there. I mean, we weren't going to BG, with 12 guys that were, with the mentality, hey, we're leaving BG with a trophy. We had a lot of guys that, were just happy seeing, the long lines out the door. And I'm not pointing fingers at anyone because some of that was me too. I mean, it was my first trip to regionals. So, but I think that was the biggest regret. I think if I could redo anything, it'd be that week or a couple of days leading up to that Coldwater game. Just kind of have the mentality that everyone, we're supposed to be here. We're coming to get a win. We're not coming just to show up.
A lot of accolades came your way and well-deserved, and we've mentioned a few of them, but your first team Division III All-Ohio this senior year, you were first team District 6 and Player of the Year. You were the Ohio Prep Sports Writers Association Division III Northwest District Player of the Year, first team Sandusky Bay Conference, first team All-Mansfield News Journal, and I'm sure, without putting words in the mouth, you would trade all of those for a chance to play one more time with the guys. Talk about what that was like this year, not just with Terry, your other senior, but all the guys, the coaching staff, the student body, and how important that senior year of basketball really was to you.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely going to be the thing I miss most about high school. There's nothing like playing for Willard basketball. Ever since you're little, that's all you hear about is Willard basketball, Willard basketball. It's really like nothing other, especially when you get the feeling that, and you're hearing from everyone that you're kind of bringing Willard basketball back. Hearing that from community members, it's kind of, it's hard not to smile and, get excited when you hear that from them because it's such a nice feeling to know that all your hard work as an individual and as a team that you've put in is being noticed. Even though Coach B probably wouldn't be happy that everybody was complimenting us, but it was good to see the community support us. Good to bring Willard basketball back, and I think it's going to stay for a while too.
Yeah, going off of that, you play in the Sandusky Bay Conference. What's some of your favorite gyms visiting wise to go to? I
can tell you my least favorite first. That's Marietta. Before I even say anything, Marietta's my least favorite. It's not even close. But my favorite gym to play in the Sandusky Bay Conference. Oh, got to be Huron. My junior year, we were playing at Huron to win the league. If it was the last regular season game, if we won the league, and I had close to 30 at halftime. Like it was one of those nights for me. And then my senior year, we needed to win the league again, and I hit a couple threes, had about 20 points. Another pretty good game. So I would say that's probably my favorite gym.
So you finish up your year, you start making decisions on what you want to do after high school. As we mentioned previously, you looked at football a little bit. I know you had a visit with Tiffin University, with Walsh University. Then what are some other ones besides Marietta from a basketball standpoint that you were looking at? And then the second part of that question is what really settled you on going to Marietta and playing for the Pioneers?
Right. My first basketball school that really got on me was Stonehill out of Boston. I mean, I took a visit. We flew out, took a visit. I thought I was going to commit. I really liked it. Really liked the coaching staff, everything about it. And they kind of got cold feet. And when I saw they kind of got cold feet, I got cold feet, and things didn't work out. And then I would say from other schools recruiting me, I would say every Division III in Ohio, I heard something from at least once or twice. D2s that I heard from, I heard a lot from Malone. Malone and Marietta were the two schools it was down to. My third school was Ohio Dominican. They were really on me. And then, I took visits to Ashland, for football and basketball. Same with Tiffin. Finley talked to me for a little bit, but not too much interest. A lot more interest in football. I had a lot of interest in football compared to basketball, but I wanted to play basketball.
So choosing Marietta, what sticks out specifically?
I would say just the program. At Willard, we had such a good program. I mean, we had a good program. We had rules. We had guys following the rules. Everything was held to a standard, and I think that's a big deal for me and winning. So I wanted to look any school I was looking at. I wanted to make sure it was a good program. I wanted to make sure it was good people, good coaches. And Marietta was, probably arguably a top 10 program in the country for Division III right now. So that was a big deal for me. Coach Vanderwall and Coach McKean came down came up, I should say, for I think 3 or 4 games, which is a big deal. That shows a lot of interest. Coach Vanderwall was texting me a lot. They'd been on me for about a year, and they'd shown interest the entire time, a lot of interest. And that definitely speaks to me. I mean, if I'm wanted there, then I'm assuming it's going to be a good fit. So that was a lot of it. The winning, the facilities were, amazing. People just hear Division III, Division II, and Division I. They kind of don't understand. Like Division II basketball and Division III basketball are no joke. People think that the best high school basketball player on any high school can go play college basketball. It's just not true. So I think the facilities at Marietta, the program, just kind of people. I mean, they sell out their gym pretty much every game. So I mean, it's just a fun atmosphere down there.
Cooper, you talk about the winning attitude at Marietta, and you're right. In this past winter, 2019-2020, they finished with an overall record of 21-7 in the Ohio Athletic Conference. They're 14-4. They lost to John Carroll in the Ohio Athletic Conference semifinals, but they made the Division III NCAA tournament, falling to the College of New Jersey in the first round. And you mentioned Coach Vanderwall, who's been there since 2007, so he's got longevity. And he's the most winningest coach in school history. That had to really help you out a lot as far as making that decision. Talk about that relationship you've started with Coach Vanderwall.
Right. He's a fun, energetic guy. He's a good guy to be around. He's really smart around the game of basketball. Just from having a couple conversations with him, you can tell that. His style of play that he wants to play fits me perfectly. A lot of pick and rolls. A lot of shooting threes, a lot of transition. That's all stuff that I like to do. So that played a big role. He kind of expressed from the start of what he wanted. He wanted me to play the 2 guard. He wanted me, to be a scorer, stuff like that. So that was a big thing for me too, is hearing from coaches what they want from me, because a lot of the recruiting process is just, closing your eyes and, taking a guess on what's going to happen for the next 4 years. Because you might, think what the coaches are telling you, but coaches can say whatever they want to get you to get on campus, but once you get there, that's when you really realize what's going on. So I think a coach being honest with you, telling you what he wants from you, telling him what he expects, I think that was a big deal for me too.
So moving off of sports now just a little bit here, Cooper, and obviously with the COVID and everything, you're out of school. What's the word on Willard's graduation and what's going on with all that? And you know yet?
Well, I honestly have no idea. I know as of right now, everything's postponed. I haven't heard anything about graduation or commencement, but I know they're trying to get a prom in the summer. So as long as we're focused on the important things, as long. then we're all right. But I haven't heard anything about graduation. I know they're trying to set up a summer prom. There's a bunch of stuff, that all high school seniors, like, your senior campouts and stuff like that. All that's kind of being postponed right now. But we have a senior group chat, and people have been talking in that. So that's kind of how we've been trying to figure stuff out right now.
I want to ask you a question specifically about your coaches, and specifically Coach Bedingfield and Coach Hershey, and just talk about how big a role they played, not only in you athletically, but you as a person, and how much they've meant to you and your growth over your years at Willard High School.
Right. I could talk about both guys for an hour. They're both great people. First with Coach Hirsch. Coach Hirsch is pretty much another head coach. He could get a head coaching job at almost any school in the area if he really wanted to, if he wanted to pursue it. So, that's a big help to have him as an assistant. It's pretty much like having two head coaches. And they play good cop, bad cop off each other sometimes too. But Coach Hirsch, he's a film rat. He'll be up at 3 a.m. watching film. That we'll get a alert on our phone saying, Coach Hershey just submitted this game tape, and it's 3 a.m. And you wake up to it. You're like, what is he doing up at 3 a.m. watching film? But as soon, we'll get home from a game at 11:30. He'll go straight home and watch 3 games on our next opponent, and come back the next morning and have a scouting report for us. So, stuff like that. I don't know what other programs are doing, but it's hard to believe that every coaching staff is, doing stuff like that. And Coach B, just from a character standpoint, he helps us all. Coach B is a great man. He's a high character person. He holds everybody to the same standard. He doesn't care who you are. His son JJ, the ball boy, or me. If he's got a rule, we're both following it. That's just how it goes in our program. And I think that sets a winning culture. I think the beginning of my junior year, a lot of us, I wouldn't say didn't like Coach B, but just when you got a coach always on you, it rubs you the wrong way sometimes. But, we kind of got mentally stronger. We kind of got more mature and understood why he was doing what he was doing. There's some stuff we practice 40 times, and we've done it maybe once in a game, if not ever, and we've practiced it 40 or 50 times during the season. Just stuff like that, speaks volumes to him as a coach, both of them really. And, our assistants too, they don't get a lot of notice, but Coach Strayer and Coach Townsley do a great job too.
So you're coming off that tough loss, obviously the last game of your career against Colonel Crawford. And what did those coaches say to you after that final game?
Right. I'd never seen either of them like that. You can kind of laugh on it now, but it was Coach Hirsch's turn to talk first, and he probably won't like me saying this, but he was getting ready to talk, and he looked at me and Terry, and turned right around and walked in the showers, and we're kind of looking around like, what's he doing? Came back out about 5 minutes later, red eyes, all teared up, and just, gave us a heartfelt message, and just told us we're always welcomed in their program, how much we mean to them, and just stuff like that. It's real love. They both said, I love you, right to our faces. It's real love. We spent so many hours together, working so hard, weight rooms, practices, 6 a.m. shootings. There's so much that goes into it, and, to have it all end just like that, that's it's the beast of the tournament, but kind of sad to think about. And, Coach B was kind of the same way. Coach B let everybody else get all their stuff out, and then he kind of talked to us, and he just wanted to, relay that, what we meant to the program, and not to talk on myself or anything, but he just wanted to let us know that what we did for the program, and how we turned it around, and how this will lead the future classes.
Again, we're visiting with Willard High School soon-to-be graduate and All-Ohio basketball player and Marietta College commit, Cooper Parrott. And Cooper, I got just a few short-fire questions with you, really quick answers. But who has been your biggest influence in your life?
Tie between my mom and my grandpa. They both serve, a different role, I think, but they're equally as important. I think, both of them would probably be my two biggest influences.
If there was only one restaurant available and you could only go to one for Cooper Parrott, where would that be?
Man. Okay, I only have one question though. Do I have an unlimited amount of money?
Yeah, oh yeah, money's no object.
So it'd probably either be a Roadhouse or a Japanese steakhouse.
All right.
That would be my two spots.
Good choices. And favorite all-time sports movie?
Either probably He Got Game. I love that movie. Some other ones. Like Hoosiers. I'm a big Hoosiers fan. The original Friday Night Lights movie, not the TV show. I'm a big fan of that movie. I would say probably those would be my top three. Space Jam too. Space Jam you got to throw in there too. Those would probably be my top movies.
And in all of your sports activity in high school, by far, who is your biggest rival? What school?
I'd have to flip a coin between Shelby and Marietta, I'd say.
I kind of, I felt you were going to go the Whippet way. That's kind of what I was hoping to hear.
I hate to say, but we can't stand either of those teams. So,
but it's a good rivalry for sure.
Right. It means things are competitive. It means both teams want to win badly, and that's
Right.
that's the beauty of sports. So competitive people, they knock heads eventually.
Absolutely.
So we'll go off that question. Toughest environment, toughest student section you've ever faced?
I hate to say it, but I'd probably give it to Shelby. They were pretty ruthless on me this year. I mean, they were saying stuff that just totally wasn't true, just stuff that they just completely made up. But, if I turned around and said, just shut up, and then I would be, blasted all over social media about how much of a punk I am. But, it's just kind of, you just got to kind of, turn your cheek, just learn to live with it. I mean, one thing, my mom and I like to joke about is, you got 100 kids in the student section, yelling my name, and I don't know a single one of theirs. So there's something real on.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate payback. That's the ultimate one right there.
Well, Cooper, we need to wrap this up. You've been a gracious interview with us, and just an outstanding, not only senior year, but an outstanding career. And we're happy for you that although it ended sooner than you wanted it to, you have to be happy with your career. You're going to go on. I forgot to ask you, what are you going to be studying down at Marietta? That's, of course, sports. We enjoy sports, but you're a student athlete. So what are you going to be studying down there?
Business and business administration specifically. I don't know if I'm either going with the human resources route, if I want an actual job. If I don't want to do that, then I'm thinking about coaching because I love the game so much.
Okay, good. Jared, do you have anything for the good of the cause to wrap it up?
Nope. Thanks for joining us, Cooper, and good luck here in the future.
Thank you.
I want to point out that the comments and views expressed in this podcast series are those of Mike Sparks, Jared Moore, and our guest. This podcast is not associated in any way with WBCO and WQEL Radio. That'll put a wrap on episode 2 of the Overtime Podcast with Sparksy and Jared. Again, I'd like to thank our guest from Willard High School, Cooper Parrott, wishing you the best of luck as you graduate, maybe virtually or maybe in person sometime this summer. And then we'll be looking forward to you as you go down south to Marietta to play for the Pioneers. Wish you all the success and certainly appreciate you. And thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Jared, we'll be figuring out where we're going to go next, who we're going to do next, but we'll be back at it next week. You're all on board with that, right?
Yeah, sure thing. And Cooper, we would love to have you in the future sometime, maybe when you're down there in Marietta as well.
Just, you guys got my number now. All it takes is a text.
Sounds good. All right, that'll put a conclusion to this show, and we'll be seeing you next week with some more guests and some more interesting topics. And I'll close again tonight as I always do. A spirit with a vision is a dream with a mission. Have a good night, everybody.